But I tell you what, this is my favorite time of the year. What a great weekend of games we have on the docket.
Let's take a look at the schedule, shall we? And what really, in your Rich Gannon mind, where does your head go first? I imagine a nice quarterback battle in Chicago, potentially?
Yeah, that'll be a great one. I think when you look at Matthew Stafford, he's really having an MVP type year. I got one of those 50 votes, and certainly I think he's going to win that award. Drake May a close second, but Matthew Stafford's been able to carry this team. I look at that drive last week and kind of crunch time. He was terrific. I think getting Devontae Adams back certainly helps. And Puka Nacua, he's one of my favorite players in the NFL because he does it all. He's an unselfish player. He's willing to show up and block in the run game. He's a physical guy. He's willing to go into work in the middle of the field. He's got great hands. He's a complete player at that position, and they can run the football. But on the other side of it, you look at what Caleb Williams has done in year two with Ben Johnson. I mean, we can still complain about the completion percentage, but where he has been awesome is taking care of the football, and especially his ability to get his team to the finish line late in games.
Stafford, the MVP favorite. What a season. 37 years old, gets to throw to Puka, gets to throw to a wily veteran who's chasing his first ring in Devontae Adams. When you won at that age, and you did, it was the first time since 1963. So if Stafford wins, it'll be the fifth time in the last 13 years someone 37 or older has won. Used to be rare. Now it's like, I don't even know. Phillip Rivers came back this year for a handful of games. Why are these old heads dominating more than ever before?
Okay, I think there's a lot of reasons. I think first and foremost, I think you go back to the way these players take care of themselves physically. I just think it's a different world. I think nutrition's a big part of it. I think the off-season program, I think these guys all have personal trainers and strength coaches and speed coaches away from the facility. And I just think it's become a year-round profession, and I think these guys take great care of themselves. We're talking about a lot of money. If you're able to extend your career by a year or two, you could be talking at the quarterback position, $50 million, $100 million. But I think Matthew plays the game for the right reason. He loves it. I think his experiences early in his career in Detroit helped to mold him and shape him into the player that he is today. And I think just that synchronicity between he and Sean McVay, I think they're joined at the hip. They see the game the same way. They're ultra competitive. And I think that's the most explosive offense that we have in the NFL today.
And then you have Caleb, who converted 3 critical third and fourth down passes on the Bears' last 2 drives of that game. So there's Stafford on one side, who's been there, done that, is likely the MVP, wants another Super Bowl, has one already. What stands out to you about the way that Caleb sort of operates on these money, high-pressure downs?
I think there was so much criticism of him his rookie year. The taking all the sacks. I think just the losses, the struggles that he had. But there was a lot of positives when you really looked under the hood, Kay. I think first and foremost, the guy played in every game. I think he got sacked more than any quarterback in football, and yet, stood in there and took the beatings like a man. Was willing to accept responsibility. I just think there's some real maturity there when you look at Caleb Williams. And I just think Ben Johnson coming in and really leaning on him and coaching him hard and loving him later. I mean, I think Ben Johnson really coached him hard in training camp, the off-season program, to really try and fix some of the habits, the bad habits that he had as a rookie. I think he was much better at throwing the ball away on occasion. He's got great players have a difficult time giving up on a play because they always think they can make the impossible throw. I think he's gotten better. I think he takes good care of the football. And I think when you look at his blood pressure, his pulse late in games, that to me is impressive. I mean, I think he's played his best football late in games. He's brought that team from behind more than any other quarterback this year. And there's a belief now. There's finally a belief. I talked to a lot of Bear fans around this country for years. Do you realize the last time, I had to look this up the other day, the last time a Chicago Bear quarterback was an All-Pro? Do you know the year? I'm putting you on the spot. It was well before you and I were born.
I mean, the best quarterback in franchise history is Jay Cutler. I don't need to say anything else. Who you got?
How about Sid Luckman, 1947?
Love that.
It's the last time a Chicago Bear quarterback was an All-Pro, 1947. Yeah. This guy has brought that city, that team, some hope, some optimism, some belief, some juice, some swagger. I really like what I see from Caleb Williams.
World War II ended 2 years before that happened with Sid Luckman, which is a little wild. Love history, love that history NFL lesson. I think the craziest thing or the most impressive thing with Caleb, just attempting the throws that he attempts and somehow only having 7 interceptions is the math does not work for me. It's crazy.
Caleb, that throw on fourth down last week, I don't think I would, even though you have to do something with the football. Like, there's a lot of quarterbacks that won't even attempt to do that. Like, I mean, it's, on a scale of 1 to 10 and the degree of difficulty, it's an 11. I mean, it's just not a lot of quarterbacks can make that throw. And I think he makes a lot of those difficult throws look very easy. One thing that people don't talk about is his lower body strength, his core strength, his legs. He can whip it. He's got great arm talent, but he's really dangerous off script. When the play breaks down is when Caleb Williams comes to life.
I'm going to ask you a tough one. Caleb, Drake, Bo, same draft class. We can't forget Jaden Daniels, who made the NFC Championship last year. If you had to pick the best quarterback out of that 2024 class, who are you taking right now?
Oh, it's so hard. I think a lot of it has to do not just with the player, but the system that they're in, the coaches that they're with. I like all of them. I think Drake has really improved in year 2 with Josh McDaniels, but I would also say Bo Nix. When you look at what's happening in Chicago with Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams, I think the same thing's happening with Bo Nix in Denver with Sean Payton. Sean's great with the quarterbacks. He coaches them hard. I think Bo is a quarterback that he's won 24 games in his first 2 seasons. I think this is going to turn out to be a really, really good draft class.
Bo Nix, I mean, their offense has been near the bottom of the league in explosive pass rate. That's something my producer wanted to ask you about. He's an X's and O's junkie. Is that like a survivable weakness against a number 1 pass defense that nobody wants to cop, that is the number 1 pass defense in Buffalo?
I think it's going to be a great chess match this weekend between Denver and Buffalo. I think when you look at the sack differential, which is a big number, right? Mm-hmm. You look at Bo Nix doesn't hold the ball. He can create, manufacture some offense on his own. I think they're a plus 45 in the sack differential. They lead the National Football League with 68 sacks. So I think offensively is a little bit of a concern when I look at Denver, because they've gone through stretches this year where they've been hit or miss. You'll watch a game in the first half, it seems like they can't score a point. The second half, they come back, they're a different football team. I don't know that you can do that against Buffalo and Josh Allen and survive. I just think every possession versus a quarterback like Josh Allen, you have to come away. You have to at least think you have to come away with points. And each possession has to end in a kick. In other words, it's either an extra point, it's a field goal, or punting the ball deep down into the territory. That's going to be the mindset. I just remember competing against Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. I just felt like going into the game, things were a little bit different. I always felt like if we went a 3 and out and we gave the ball back to them, they were probably going to come away with points. I always felt like every possession would end in points going against them. So you had to make every possession matter. I think Bo Nix and the Broncos offense have to put together 4 really good quarters of football.
Seth Wickersham wrote a book, and in it spent time with Sean Payton, and Sean harped on sack rate and differential. He cares about that with quarterbacks more than anything, almost, and being able to do that. So we'll see who wins this game. Tough one. I've asked everybody. I've asked Kevin Durant. I've asked what happens in this game and who wins.
I think experience matters in the postseason. Josh has had a lot of it, and so has Sean McVay. Sean McDermott. But they both had a lot of experience in the postseason, but not a ton of success. And I just think this is a special year for them in Buffalo. I think when you look at the landscape of the AFC and you say, hey, there's no Steve Spagnuolo, Andy Reid, and Patrick Mahomes. There's no Joe Burrow and the Bengals. This is an opportunity for us to do something special. I just think Buffalo, I like Buffalo against the Broncos. I just think they have the one player, maybe Matthew Stafford would be into this category, but they have the one player still standing that has the ability to put his team on the shoulders and carry him to the finish line. Josh Allen is ridiculous. I mean, rushing the ball, throwing the ball. I mean, he is the complete player at that position, and I just think he's going to have a great day against the Broncos.
James Cook, probably the second player that you'd name that is the most dominant, could put a team on his shoulder. So they have the 2 most dominant players, I think, in the AFC. They should be able to. Why does it feel like what you said about Chicago, the belief, they believe, they're buying in, I feel like Chicago fans who've been have all the trauma of 40 years over their heads through all these different eras. It feels to me like they believe in Chicago more than the perennial Super Bowl contender, best player, MVP, more than Buffalo fans have in their team. What is that?
Yeah, it is weird. I just think there's been so much disappointment. I remember a little bit of that situation when I was in Kansas City with the Chiefs and Marty Schottenheimer in 95 and 97. We went 13-3. We had home field advantage. We had the best defense in football, and we lost first round games in the postseason. And I just think there was this doubt that the Chiefs fans had that maybe it's never going to happen, you know. And I just think you get some of that in Buffalo. They've been so close. You get the 4 straight years.
But you can't. But you can't say like. There are two things. You can't be like, this is the best player.
No,
don't tell us we don't have the best. Josh is the best player, but then we're not. We like maybe don't have the defense, or we can't. Like if you have the best player, you're a Super Bowl. Like I want to see that belief. It's like believe is their whole tagline. I want to see that, Rich.
Yeah, no, it's a little bit like when you look at their defense, they got the #1 pass defense, but they're 28th in rushing, right? So there's been some inconsistencies there.
Understood.
You know, Denver's going to try and run the ball. I think when you look at them offensively, you got the #1 rushing team. Josh is certainly a part of that, but so is James Cook, who led the National Football League in rushing yards. So, but I think that the X factor, without question, Kay, and you point this out, is the quarterback, Josh Allen. I mean,
let's go.
On a day, there's not many teams on a day where things aren't going well, where you're not playing great defense, or maybe you're not able to run the football. There's one guy that can put the team on his shoulders and do something special. He can have a Herculean type effort, and that's Josh Allen. He's a unique guy. There's not a lot like him. He's big, he's strong, he's tough. You know, I mean, people ask me like, he's 6'5", 235 pounds. When he runs the football, it's not a quarterback that's running the football. It's more like a tight end. You know, he can carry guys. When you're a safety or a corner and you come in to take Josh Allen to the ground, you come in with a little bit of respect. A lot of times when it's a quarterback, they come in to deplete him. They come in to like knock him out of the stadium. But with a guy that's 235 pounds who's not going to shy away from contact, you know, it's interesting to watch some of these defensive backs approach Josh Allen. He's a unique guy at that position, and he has the ability to do something special every time he steps on the field.
I want to show you something that my incredible producer and partner saw. The split's sort of crazy. When Josh Allen is hit 6 or more times in a game, the Bills are 1-4. Look at that TD interception ratio. Compare it with 11-1, 19 touchdowns, 4 picks when he's hit fewer than 6 times. This is sort of staggering. And the Bills hit the quarterback. So what do you make of this?
Well, yeah, it's going to be, I mean, you talk about a Denver defense that not only, you know, we look at the sacks, you know, more than any team in football was 68, but it's not just, you know, when you look at quarterback play, it's not just sacks. It's hits, it's hurries, it's knockdowns, it's pressures, it's getting him off the spot. I mean, that's something that Denver does as well as anybody. I mean, they got 4 players with 7 or more sacks, and they come from all. You know, Vance Joseph has done an amazing job with this defense. It's not just their front; it comes off the edge. It's from the linebacking core. They bring perimeter pressure. It comes off the slot. They bring corner. I mean, it's, you know, I think protection is going to be critical for the Buffalo Bills, and on top of that, you know, Josh Allen, who's one of the more difficult quarterbacks to sack, he's been sacked 40 times already this season.
Yeah.
So it's, I mean, any good offensive game plan, it always starts with pass protection. And that really could tell the story in this one. It's this offensive line. It's not just the offensive line. It's everybody is involved in protection. It's the tight end. It's the running backs. It's receivers breaking off the routes. Protection is going to be really important against the best pass rush defense in football.
I want to get to a couple more quickly. Actually, let's take a TV break. Still very much live on YouTube. We'll still get this. Oh, no, we're going to stay on the TV side. Oh, no, we're not. Okay. I wanted to ask you about Sam Darnold. I woke up in the middle of the night, had a bad night's sleep, Gannon, and I see this. And then I couldn't fall back asleep because you want it so bad for Sam. He's worked so hard. And now he's on the injury report. Left oblique issue. Expects to be ready to play. I imagine an oblique is important with what y'all do out there. How significant is this in your eyes?
I think he's going to be okay. I mean, you hate to have a little bit of a setback in practice. He said he did it during pat and go, so I can't imagine it's anything significant. Okay. But it is what it is. Look, I like Sam Darnold. Kay, I've known him a long time. I worked with him. They brought me in when he was in New York. I spent a little time with him. I spent some time with him on the phone prior to his arrival in Carolina when he was working with Matt down there in Carolina. I just think his career, I think he's been through a lot, went through a lot of adversity. I think going to San Francisco was a positive. I think going to Minnesota and working with Kevin O'Connell last year was a real plus. And now he's finally got a team and an organization that's really handed him the keys to the car. Love everything about his game, his toughness, his durability. I think he's a selfless player. I think he's willing to hand the ball off 35 times a game, whatever it takes.
Do they win?
I think The one concern that you do have is that he led the league with 20 giveaways. I mean, that's a problem. He's got to get that cleaned up. He cannot turn the ball over against the 49ers this weekend.
Bunch of those against the Rams. We'll see what he does against Shanahan, who just, even losing Kittle, what a coaching performance last week to put the icing on what's been a brilliant, always adverse-filled season for the Niners. Okay, I want to ask about the Raiders, of course. Whoever the next Raiders coach is, here's how we see it as an Up and Adams team. I'm so curious your thoughts. Whoever it is, he gets the #1 pick, $110 million in cap space. Ashton Genty, Brock Bowers, Max Crosby, Max Crosby. Sounds like a very desirable opportunity. Do you agree? And who is the candidate you would prefer? It's like, I think it's low-key a great destination.
It may be somebody that's not on that list. I mean, Tom Brady is going to be very involved in this, along with, the general manager. And I just think that they got to get it right. I've been saying that for years. I think the one area of concern, if you're a coaching candidate, is do I really want to go somewhere where there's not a lot of stability? In other words, I can't move my family and I can't move 20 assistant coaches and then get fired after a year. I mean, they just fired the general manager a year ago after a year. They just fired a Hall of Fame coach after a season. And then you have to ask yourself, like, what's going on inside the building? Is there a culture and an environment that's conducive to winning? And I just think that, there's a lot of work that has to be done. I mean, I love Max Crosby. I've said this a number of times, Kay. If you had 20 players in that building like Max Crosby, you would never lose a game. But, the reality of it is that, they struggle at the quarterback position. The offensive line was probably the worst. I mean, the biggest mistake that John Spytek and Pete Carroll made was putting those guys out there, that offensive line. I called the preseason games. I knew the offensive line was going to be a problem. Ashton Genty, the poor kid, I mean, the lack of vision. I mean, every time he touched the ball, he's getting hit in the backfield.
Yes.
So there's a lot of work that has to be done. Somebody's got to be able to come in that has experience, that can put together a good staff, and really work with the general manager to bring in the right type of players. Look what Chicago did. I mean, they go out and get a center and 2 guards for the young quarterback. You add some pieces to the puzzle. You lean on the running game. You've got a quarterback that's growing and developing, and you turn that organization around. Look at the job that Liam Cohen did in Jacksonville. They won 4 games.
You're being,
I mean, it can be done.
It can be done.
You get the right people in the building, it can be done.
Who is it? Who's the right name?
I don't know. I mean, because I've got a lot of people that, some people say John Gruden. I don't think that's going to happen. Like Mike McCarthy, I don't think that'll happen. I mean, there's a lot of young coordinators. There's a lot of young coaches that they're going to bring in. I think this is going to surprise some people. I think, you put that list up there, it very well could be somebody that's not on that list.
Oh, I think it's somebody that's not on that list, and I love you for that, Rich Gannon. I appreciate you and your honesty, clearly. And I like that you mentioned, just win, baby. Where is that? We need to go find that. We lost it somewhere, and we got to go play hide and seek. Appreciate you so much. You can
You're
catch
the best.
The great Rich Gannon, his analysis. You're the best. It's really an honor to have you. SiriusXM, everybody. NFL Radio, weekdays from noon to 3 Eastern. I'll see you at Super Bowl.
CK.